contract, that we can't use it for walk-in land now, there's
No,
other walk-in land we've got around.
well,
Why rush
we
into it?
own the land and we can go play in the land, except there's only one real access road into it,
Yeah.
right? And that access road starts off with on Linda Smith's property. And when you get to the first bridge, if you draw a diagonal line across it, as soon as you cross that diagonal line, from the left to the right or the right to the left, I don't remember which, right, you're now on the town property.
I understand that. I'm sorry, I'm not being clear.
Could I
My question is, why the urgency to even want to get onto the land if there is a legal issue we need resolved? I mean, I think that we.
That's what he's bringing up, is to try to get that result. He wants to put it back on the table to resolve.
Could I address that question, please? The urgency is twofold. One, there's a liability issue, that you have bridges that there is confusion regarding the ownership of those bridges, and from a liability standpoint, it benefits the town to clarify who is responsible for liability. The second issue remains the condition of those bridges. One of the things that we had done back in 2007 was do an engineering review of those bridges and identify structural deficiencies that do need to be corrected. I'm afraid that if we allow that to not be addressed, those deficiencies continue to deteriorate, and what is a $50,000 problem today becomes a $500,000 problem down the road. So I think that the urgency is to address those bridges and the structural deficiencies and clear up liability issues as quickly as possible, and that would be my recommendation, that we do that.
Town administrator's report.
Yeah, me, I'm up. I've already talked to you about the building on the common, so I don't need to go into any detail about that, but suffice, other than to say the project is being completed. The board received a copy of a Chapter 90 funding notice issued through the governor's office. The good news is that we have $488,000 in Chapter 90 monies available in 2012. So major roadway construction projects, only certain projects and certain roads fit within the definition of Chapter 90. But it is good news that the Commonwealth appears to be willing to put forth these funds. Of course, everything is subject to appropriation. More importantly, we do need to address the local road program, and I would anticipate that we will have a warrant article proposal before town meeting at June town meeting for the purposes of voting local monies for town roads. You'll recall that there was a $200,000 proposal that was removed from the October town meeting warrant, and wisely so, given the status of the unknown status of the snow budget. And it will appear that for the capital plan, those monies will not be available, and we will need to borrow. And that's unfortunate, but that's due to the weather conditions that we had over this winter, where the majority of those monies that were saved in free cash will have to go to satisfy the snow deficit for this year. Next, update on health insurance.
What would we have gotten in Chapter 90 money if, in years past, typically those?
I don't have it, but I think it says that the amount is increased by, is it 29%?
Okay.
I don't have it off the top of
All
my
right, no,
head.
that's close enough.
But I can see that the amount is larger, and, but the challenge is larger too in terms of being able to
Right.
address the roads.
29%, you're right.
Quotes were received for renewal of the town's health insurance. We received a total of 4 quotes. You'll remember that in the past, employees have urged the town to go forward in terms of coming in and seeing what's out there in the market. And I'm pleased to report that we did receive quotes ranging between just a little bit under 5% to just over 15%. And those were from all of the major providers: Harvard Pilgrim, Tufts, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and Maya. So there were 4 quotes that were received. However, the quotes that were received exceed the amount that we have available for the budget. So although 4.95% looks like a good number, it's really not, because we have 2% in the budget for next fiscal year. And so what I've done is I've spoken with our insurance consultant, and they're obtaining additional quotations, which I expect within the next week, on additional plan offerings and what those plan offerings would look like at a 0% increase in that range. So that's the next step. I had an opportunity to meet with the union representatives on the Insurance Advisory Committee. Remember, this is an incremental process, so we presented the fact that we did receive these quotations. The quotations turned out that they're not within our budget ability, so we need to move forward in terms of designing and coming up with a plan that fits within the available funds that we have available for town meeting. So I'll be reporting back to you in terms of what the progress is in achieving that. Any questions on that?
But just the finance planning team is utilizing a 0% increase in health insurance?
It's 2%, the additional, the 2% were related to costs associated with establishing a health savings administration program.
Next, I've provided the board with an analysis prepared by the chief of police. You'll recall at his budget meeting back in early February, there were some comments made about the merits of filling 2 vacant positions within the department. The chief has been utilizing overtime. It was my understanding until that meeting took place that overtime was a more cost-effective way of filling it, because not every shift is simply being filled going forward. But the chief indicated something different during that meeting, and what he indicated is that he anticipates that there would be a cost savings in the first year in terms of hiring these two new officers. The cost savings would be fairly small, but I wanted you to read his report and go through his analysis. And if you'd like, we can have the chief in to discuss this with the board at a future meeting. As it is right now, we do not have any additional positions funded for 2012.
I think he should come in, my opinion is he should come in at our next meeting.
For the 19th?
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it?
Mr. O'Leary?
All set.
Yeah, I have 2 things. I'm not sure if many people know that the Christian Community Services that runs our food pantry also is running a new program. It's called Dare to Begin. If some of you may be familiar with it.
What's it called again?
Dare to Begin. Basically, it's for folks that have a talent that want to create a business, start a business. They just don't have the financial means, or they're trying to continue their education or get their education. They don't have the financial means, or they want to try to improve their financial situation. What this Dare to Begin, how it works is they'll sponsor a loan for you. No interest loan. They don't have a tremendous amount of money. They're looking for people to donate. It's actually a place you can actually donate, and your donation lives on and on and on. You can come in, they've actually had 3 people they've given loans to, starting businesses. Most of them have been women so far that have started new businesses. Some that have actually gone to school, come out, and they're in the process of getting certified in a certain career field, and then they're gonna start a business. And then the loans and paying them back are all predicated on when you actually get to the point where you can afford to start paying them back, and they build payment plans with you. I think it's a wonderful program, and I give them a lot of credit. It's a great way to help people that just don't have the financial means to go and do something they have a lot of passion and willingness to do. So a little flyer here. You can go to the food pantry's website and get a lot more of the information. So I asked the people at home to do that. The last thing I have is I mentioned it to you guys before, but it is official that Lou, the service station, North Reading service station, is closing. 1 June, he'll be stopped selling gas. Very sad to say that. He's been in the community serving gas for 31 years, I believe. He's being evicted, and the reasoning and the rationale for it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I'm not going to get into that. But I want to just let the community know, and you have an opportunity to go by and buy some gas and say, thank you for being part of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Sean?
I just have one item. I just want to thank the North Reading Chamber of Commerce in terms of their Citizens Award ceremony that they had sponsored last Wednesday evening, and they recognized Sergeant Mike Murphy from our police department, Officer Casea from our police department, and retired Captain Cook. And last but not least, our chairperson, as Mr. O'Leary calls him, chairperson for life, Mr. Busseri, as Citizen of the Year. I mean, it's the first time I've attended that event, and it was just a wonderful event, and all the recipients were well-deserving.
Thank you, Sean. Jeffrey?
Sorry to hear about Lou. It's really sad because, you're right, he's been there a long time. I've had lunch with him many times at the senior center, but that's really very sad. I have a question. The Christian Community Service, Mike, I think at the last meeting, you had indicated that I think you, Bob, and Sean had received a letter from them with regard to some work in the gym area. Okay. Is there any way I can have a copy of that letter? And I don't know if Steve got one or not, but,
Yeah, John Welch has it. I asked John to give me, it's a letter and a sketch or an idea as to what he's,
Yeah, I don't have a copy of it myself, but I have an email that I had received. I'll try to find it, yeah, sure. I'll try to dig it up.
Is
I
this
just
over
don't.
the refrigerator on the?
Yeah, they've already decided where the refrigerator's gonna go. It's gonna go in the old,
accessibility.
it's gonna go in the old garden club closet. And Greg was going to work with John on regards to the ramp, but the rest of they all agreed on the emergency lighting, the second access in and out, actually adding an emergency exit. That's been agreed upon where they're gonna put that off the stage, off the old stage. So the only issue of contention at this point is the ramp. And it's something that Greg, I know, is working.
how are we paying for all of this? Are they paying with their own funds, or is the town?
Of course.
I'm sorry?
Of course, yes, they are paying for it with their own funds, yes.
So there's no outlay by the town at all?
Not that I know of.
Except for the time that John is putting into it?
The only thing that John's doing is submitting the requirements. He'll inspect, I believe, the overall work that's being done. He'll be approving, what's going to be done in advance. I assume, and the code enforcement officer, Jim DeColo, will be involved in that. Is there a point you're trying to make, or is there an issue that you have, or?
It's not a question of a point. I mean, Christian Community Service is a religious organization on public property, and funds have gone in that direction.
What funds?
Excuse me?
What funds?
The funds for the expansion of the parking area for the...
Again, that went to town
that-
hall.
no, I'm sorry?
It-
No, well, it was taken out of a budget item.
Town hall.
It was taken out of a budget item, all right, for, I think, was it, funds were made available from possibly the 2013 expansion of or work on the parking lot. So it's a religious organization, and that's the primary concern that I have, that we have public funds being invested in a religious organization. We need to
we
be
don't.
careful that.
We don't.
Because I think, if I recall correctly, you said that it's about $60,000 to do some of the work that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's,
All right.
with the ramp, if we went to the extent
Okay.
that we had to on the ramp, yes.
And
Again, the CCS would be taking, the food pantry would be taking the responsibility to
They're go-
deal with all these changes.
and
But
they're
we don't
going to
believe
pay.
all those
They're going to
changes are
pay for
required.
it. They're going to
Yes.
pay for it.
Yes.
Well, they do a wonderful thing. Don't misunderstand me. I mean, they're coming up with loans for
They'll
people.
only can you give loans based on what donations people
Right.
provide.
No, I understand. I
So we've
understand.
had some very nice people in
The whole
town that-
idea is a great idea. I'm not even questioning that. I'm just concerned, if we have, do we have a plan for the services that the Christian community provide? Do we have plans in town that eventually take it over? Because it's becoming part of town hall. It's becoming very solidified in town hall.
Yeah,
The church, the church that I go to, we do a similar thing, but